Hello, everyone. I'm Mark Vena, CEO and Principal Analyst at SmartTech Research, and I'd like to welcome you to yet another SmartTechCheck EduSeries episode. Today, we're taking a deep dive into Adobe's latest analyst presentation and exploring how the company sees generative AI transforming enterprise marketing over the next several years. For most people, Adobe is still synonymous with Photoshop, Acrobat, or Illustrator. But after watching this presentation, it's clear Adobe has much bigger ambitions. The company wants to become the intelligent platform that powers the entire marketing lifecycle, from the first creative concept all the way through campaign execution, optimization, and measurement. One comment from Adobe's Lindsay Morris really set the tone. She said, AI is no longer just changing how content gets created, it's changing how the entire content lifecycle works. I think that's an important distinction. Adobe isn't positioning AI as another productivity tool. Instead, it's describing AI as the connective tissue that links creative teams, marketers, designers, analysts, and business decision makers together. Throughout this presentation, I'll highlight where I think Adobe's vision is particularly compelling, where it has the potential to reshape enterprise marketing, and why many of these innovations could eventually benefit organizations well beyond the Fortune 500. One of the strongest messages Adobe delivered during this analyst presentation is that marketing has simply become too complex for traditional workflows. Think about how dramatically things have changed over the last decade. A single campaign today may require hundreds or even thousands of variations across websites, email, social media, connected television, digital advertising, retail displays, and mobile devices. Add multiple languages, regional preferences, seasonal promotions, and audience personalization, and the scale becomes almost overwhelming. Adobe's Nishtha Bhardwaj summarized the challenge perfectly when she said, "Most brands are struggling with scaled content production." I completely agree with that assessment. Marketing organizations are being asked to produce exponentially more content without dramatically increasing headcount or budgets. What's particularly interesting is that customers have become accustomed to personalized experiences everywhere they interact with a brand. Generic, one-size-fits-all messaging simply doesn't perform the way it once did. From my perspective, this is exactly why AI has become such an important strategic investment. It's not just about creating more content, it's about enabling marketers to keep pace with customer expectations while maintaining quality, consistency, and speed. Adobe believes generative AI fundamentally changes the economics of marketing, and I think that's one of the most compelling arguments in this presentation. For decades, marketing organizations have been constrained by time, budget, and creative resources. Every new campaign required additional designers, photographers, copywriters, production teams, and agency support. AI changes that equation. According to Adobe, tasks that once required weeks or even months can now be completed in days or hours. One creative brief can produce thousands of variations tailored to different audiences, channels, languages, and devices. That doesn't simply improve productivity, it transforms how organizations think about marketing. I also appreciated Nishtha Bhardwaj's observation that projects once measured in weeks are now measured in hours. That's a profound shift. However, I don't believe this means AI replaces creative professionals. Quite the opposite. By automating repetitive production work, AI allows marketers and designers to spend more time focusing on storytelling, strategy, customer engagement, and brand differentiation. That's where the greatest long-term value will come from. Perhaps my favorite part of Adobe's presentation was the discussion around brand intelligence. We've all seen AI generate impressive images or marketing copy, but Adobe is taking a different approach. Rather than simply generating content, the company wants AI to understand how each organization communicates and how its brand evolves over time. Viggy Madhav described this as building an agentic brand intelligence system that is able to continuously learn. That's a fascinating concept because it goes far beyond static brand guidelines. Adobe wants AI to learn from creative reviews, campaign approvals, performance data, and even human decision-making so that every future campaign becomes smarter and more aligned with the organization's identity. From my perspective, this could become one of Adobe's biggest competitive advantages. Every company has its own voice, culture, and customer expectations. If AI can truly learn those characteristics and consistently apply them across thousands of assets, organizations may be able to scale personalization without sacrificing brand integrity. That balance between speed and consistency is something marketers have struggled with for years, and Adobe believes brand intelligence may finally provide the answer. One of the most intriguing innovations Adobe discussed was the concept of digital twins. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the term, don't worry. It's actually easier to understand than it sounds. A digital twin is simply a highly accurate virtual version of a physical product. Think of it as the definitive digital model that captures every dimension, texture, material, and design element with incredible precision. Adobe's Nishta Bhardwaj described it as the exact virtual replica of the physical product. And that's an important distinction. Unlike AI-generated approximations, a digital twin starts with the actual engineering or CAD data, ensuring that every product detail remains faithful to the original. Why does that matter? Imagine you're launching a new automobile, smartphone, luxury watch, or appliance. Traditionally, you'd need countless photo shoots to create marketing materials for different regions, colors, and campaigns. With a digital twin, Adobe can generate those assets digitally, producing lifestyle images, product videos, and promotional content without repeatedly photographing the product. From my perspective, this has the potential to dramatically reduce production costs while accelerating time to market. It's also a great example of how generative AI works best when it's paired with trusted enterprise data rather than operating entirely on its own. Another highlight of Adobe's presentation was its expanding partnership with NVIDIA, and I believe this collaboration deserves a closer look. While Adobe brings decades of expertise in creative software and marketing workflows, NVIDIA contributes world-class capabilities in AI computing, RTX rendering, and 3D visualization. Together, they're building an infrastructure designed specifically for enterprise-scale content creation. During the presentation, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang emphasized that we need a perfect digital twin. That starting point cannot be negotiable. That statement perfectly captures why this partnership matters. In industries such as automotive, manufacturing, healthcare, and consumer electronics, product accuracy isn't optional. A small error in an AI-generated image could create legal issues, customer confusion, or even damage a company's brand. By combining Adobe Firefly with NVIDIA RTX rendering and Omniverse technologies, organizations can create photorealistic content that remains faithful to the actual product while dramatically increasing creative flexibility. To me, this partnership represents something bigger than marketing. It's another example of AI moving beyond experimentation and becoming an essential part of enterprise infrastructure. Companies aren't just buying software anymore. They're investing in intelligent platforms capable of supporting business-critical operations at global scale. As impressive as Firefly, brand intelligence, and digital twins are individually, I think the biggest story is how Adobe is connecting them into a single integrated platform. This isn't simply a collection of AI tools. It's an attempt to create an end-to-end operating system for modern marketing. Adobe Firefly generates creative assets. Brand intelligence helps ensure those assets remain consistent with a company's identity. Experience Manager organizes and governs content across the enterprise. Gen Studio connects creation with campaign execution, while analytics provide continuous feedback that improves future campaigns. What's interesting is that each component becomes more valuable because it's connected to the others. Instead of moving assets manually between disconnected applications, Adobe envisions a workflow where information flows seamlessly from creative concept to business results. From my perspective, that's one of the most important strategic messages from this presentation. Adobe is no longer competing solely with creative software vendors. It's positioning itself as a comprehensive enterprise AI platform that helps organizations create, manage, personalize, deliver, and optimize marketing at unprecedented scale. If Adobe executes on this vision successfully, it could significantly strengthen its leadership position in enterprise marketing for years to come. At this point, you might be asking yourself, this all sounds impressive, but who really benefits? According to Adobe, the answer is everyone, although the value proposition looks a little different depending on the size of the organization. For large enterprises, the biggest opportunity is scale. AI can help enforce brand consistency across thousands of marketing assets while simultaneously localizing campaigns for different regions, languages, and customer segments. That means organizations can move faster without sacrificing governance, compliance, or quality. For small and medium-sized businesses, I think the implications may be even more profound. Historically, sophisticated marketing campaigns required large agencies, professional production studios, or sizable in-house creative teams. Adobe's vision is to make many of those same capabilities accessible to organizations with far fewer resources. What I find particularly compelling is that AI has the potential to level the playing field. A small business can now create content that looks remarkably similar to what a Fortune 500 company might produce, allowing it to compete on creativity, speed, and customer engagement rather than simply budget. That's a meaningful shift in the economics of marketing, and one that could benefit businesses across virtually every industry. As I step back from Adobe's presentation, one conclusion stands out more than any other. Adobe is no longer defining itself as a company that simply builds creative software. Instead, it's positioning itself as the intelligent platform that connects every stage of enterprise marketing into one continuously learning system. That distinction is important because AI, by itself, is becoming increasingly commoditized. What differentiates companies over the long term isn't simply access to large language models or image generation tools. It's how those technologies are integrated into real business workflows that improve productivity, strengthen governance, and generate measurable business outcomes. I also believe Adobe understands something many organizations are only beginning to appreciate. The future of marketing isn't about creating a single great campaign. It's about building an always-on content engine that continuously learns from customer behavior and adapts in real time. Will Adobe face strong competition? Absolutely. Microsoft, Salesforce, Google, Canva, OpenAI, and numerous AI startups are all investing aggressively in this space. But Adobe brings decades of expertise in creative workflows, enterprise content management, and trusted customer relationships. Those assets position the company well as the marketing industry continues its transition toward AI-driven operations. As we wrap up this SmartTechCheck EduSeries episode, I think Adobe delivered a compelling vision for where enterprise marketing is heading. The biggest takeaway for me is that generative AI isn't replacing marketers. It's enabling them to accomplish far more than was previously possible by automating repetitive production tasks while allowing creative professionals to focus on strategy, storytelling, innovation, and customer engagement. Adobe also made a convincing case that brand intelligence, connected workflows, and continuous optimization will become increasingly important competitive advantages as AI becomes embedded throughout the enterprise. Whether every aspect of Adobe's vision unfolds exactly as presented remains to be seen, but there's little question that AI will fundamentally reshape how organizations create, manage, personalize, and measure marketing over the next several years. I hope you found this analysis both informative and useful. If you enjoyed this SmartTechCheck EduSeries episode, I'd really appreciate it if you would give this video a like, repost it with your colleagues, and subscribe to the SmartTechCheck podcast here on YouTube. Your support helps us continue producing independent technology analysis like this. Finally, I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and let me know what companies, technologies, or industry trends you'd like SmartTech Research to cover in future SmartTechCheck EduSeries episodes. Until next time, I'm Mark Vena, CEO and Principal Analyst at SmartTech Research. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.